Let me tell you about the day a woman named Alana Monroe walked into a courtroom with nothing but quiet dignity. And you know what? They tried to tear her apart, handcuffed her right there in front of everyone, tried to make her smaller than the truth she carried, all while pretending justice was being served. What they didn't know, what none of them even thought to check, was that Alana wasn't just another black woman in their system. She was the deputy director of internal affairs for the FBI, and she was there to turn the whole place inside out. You ever watch the way a courtroom turns when somebody walks in and refuses to shrink? That's what happened. Door creaked open, heads swiveled. People stopped pretending not to care. She didn't have cuffs on yet. No lawyer, nobody sitting in her corner. Just her, in a navy blouse, hands steady as stone. Judge Langford, the kind of guy who smirks before he even speaks, looked her up and down, then cracked. Representing yourself, I see. Bold choice for someone accused of assaulting a police officer. Alana stood there, face unreadable, and said clear as day, I was assaulted, Your Honor. I'm just defending the truth. The judge barely looked up from his folder, and the ADA, Jessica Renner, started spinning her story about how Alana supposedly got loud and aggressive, how Officer Brent Colby feared for his life, how there'd be video to back it all up. Alana turned to the jury, didn't raise her voice, but you could feel the room tighten. There's video, she said, but what's missing is just as important as what's there. That got under Jessica's skin, but she just said, You'll have your chance. The judge smirked. Some kid in the back row whispered to his mom, What did she do wrong? The mom hesitated, then muttered, She disrespected a police officer. You could feel Alana hear that. You could feel everybody hear it.so. The prosecutor starts the parade, calls in Officer Colby, who sits down like he owns the place, tells the jury how Alana got loud, reached for something, how he had to protect himself, and on and on. Then they play the security footage, except right when it gets to the real action, the screen glitches, jumps, and suddenly Alana's on the ground, arms pinned, Colby looming. Technical malfunction, Jessica says, like it's no big deal. Alana requests the raw footage, uncut, real. The judge won't have it. No technical proof, no more speculation. She looked right at the jury, voice even. You see what they left. But the truth is in what's missing, and they know it. The prosecutor objects. The judge bangs his gavel, tells Alana to stick to the facts, not fantasies. But the room, even the ones who pretended not to care, started to shift. In the back, an older black man named Leonard Carter, retired courthouse doorman, decades in this building, watched. He'd seen too many kids chewed up and forgotten by that place, remembered the way nobody looked at them, the way silence buried everything. And he remembered a little girl sitting in the front row, stone-faced, all those years ago. That was Alana. Now she was back, but this time, she wasn't silent. You could feel the pressure wrap around her, the judge rushing things along, the prosecutor droning, the jury sighing, everyone waiting for her to break. But she didn't. She watched, she waited. Leonard nodded at her, just once, and she blinked slow, a signal, like, yeah, I see you too. For some people, survival means not making a sound, but there's a kind of silence that's sharper than shouting. All of a sudden, Alana stood. No permission, just stood. Shrugged out of her blazer, rolled up her sleeves, and showed the courtroom the bruises running up her arms. Deep purple, yellow at the edges, the kind you don't get from resisting, the kind you get from being pinned down and silenced. The jury leaned in, the gallery murmured, and Jessica tried to brush it off, but the judge just narrowed his eyes, mouth tight. Alana pulled a sealed envelope out of her bag, placed it in front of the clerk, an internal affairs dossier, 11 years of complaints and unresolved investigations into Brent Colby. Jessica called it inadmissible. Alana shot back, then verify it, but it's more honest than anything he said today. The judge ordered her to sit, but she wasn't done. She called Micah Green, quietly, Protocol 11. Activate silently. She hung up. Nobody in that courtroom knew what she'd just done, but you could feel the change, electric and inevitable. The judge, the DA, the police chief. They all retreated behind closed doors, plotting how to bury Alana in red tape, drown her in silence, and if that failed, bring in Officer Valerie Royce, their fixer, to make sure Alana disappeared the moment she steps out of line. Valerie was cold, calm, said, "No bruises, no press. Clean and irreversible." It was all a game, a performance, until it wasn't. Back in the courtroom, Alana rose again, voice clear. "Why is asking for the full video considered disruption?" The judge threatened her with removal, so she replied, "Let the record show. Truth is what you consider disorder." The gallery started to wake up, some muttering, others shifting in their seats. Langford barked for the bailiff. Valerie strode up, cuffed Alana with a grip meant to hurt, whispering, "Not so strong now, are you?" Alana said, "Strength isn't how tight you squeeze a wrist. It's how steady your eyes stay when the truth's in pain." As she was dragged out, she threw one last look at the judge. "Make sure your robe is clean, Judge. Cameras are watching." And you could see, just for a split second, Langford was rattled. Out in the hall, Alana stopped, turned to the gallery, and calmly reached into her file, pulled out a badge. "Deputy Director, Internal Affairs Division, FBI. I'm not just the accused," she said, voice like steel. "I'm the one investigating all of you." Doors burst open, federal agents entered, the whole courtroom froze. The judge tried to bluster, but the feds shut him down with a subpoena and a quiet, "Step aside, Your Honor." Valerie backed off fast. The DA got handed her own subpoena, and Alana, for the first time, stood in the center of the room, not just a defendant, but the one holding all the cards. Micah Green switched on the projector, and this time, the real footage played. Everyone saw Colby roughing up Alana, heard the voices, Langford, the DA, the police chief, conspiring on tape. "If she's who we think she is, we bury it. Already deleted the segments. Make her disappear." The jury, the gallery, everybody watched the system exposed, ugly and undeniable. Leonard Carter stood, walked forward, and handed over a note from decades back about another trial, another ruined life. "I'm not staying silent," he said. The courtroom finally snapped. Gasps, sobs, people realizing what they'd seen. Langford shrank in his chair, nowhere left to hide. Alana stepped forward, didn't raise her voice, but every word rang out. "Justice isn't delayed. It's arrived, and it's watching." For the first time, power didn't drown out truth. And just like that, the tide shifted. What started in a tiny, forgotten courtroom exploded into national headlines. News vans circled the courthouse. Hashtag Stand With Alana lit up the internet. Civil rights leaders called it a turning point. Protesters held signs, "We see you now." The ripple effect was massive. Valerie was suspended. The sheriff resigned in disgrace. Universities requested transcripts of the trial. A mural of Alana appeared downtown, captioned, "Silence, when rooted in truth, is louder than a gavel." When Alana was called to testify before Congress, she just said, "Justice doesn't need to raise its voice. It just needs to be heard without being interrupted." You could hear a pin drop. All over the country, people stopped just watching history. They started feeling like part of it. When Alana stepped out of that courthouse, applause broke out. Not wild or showy, but deep, sustained, grateful. Leonard found her and just said, "Thank you for being louder than the rest of us ever dared to be." And you know, Alana never looked for the spotlight. She went back to work, started building new protocols to stop another Colby, another Langford, another system of silence. She fought not for attention, but for silence to mean safety again, not feared. Oh, here's the thing. Sometimes silence is survival, but sometimes it's the battle cry. If this story got to you, if Alana's strength made you feel something, don't just scroll by. Share your thoughts below. Where do you see justice breaking through the noise? What does it take to turn silence into truth? Because sometimes the quietest voices leave the loudest mark. And that's something we all need to remember, now more than ever.